Hi class, I hope you're having a great week. I want to introduce you to the final assignment for this course. Now if you go to Blackboard in week 7 and scroll down past the activity, you will see legal application materials, summary of recent sports cases, and legal application case. Now the legal application paper is the final assignment for this course outside of your weekly reading quizzes and activities. And I've broken down this assignment into 3 components. This week you need to select a case and submit it. Next week you will write an outline of your paper, and the following week you will submit your final paper. Now this video is to provide you with some helpful tips in regards to selecting a case, and the video in week 8's content folder, which will be associated with the outline, will go into more detail in regards to the specific rubric. But I do want to bring up the rubric for one reason. So you'll see the rubric in the legal application materials, and I have the rubric pulled up right here. And as I mentioned, the assignment is broken up into 3 separate submissions. So case selection is this week, and my expectation is that you will submit a complete legal case, either in PDF or Word form. And then next week you will submit a 1 to 2 page outline, which I'll talk about next week. And then the following week you will submit your final paper. Now, this legal application paper is an extension of a case brief. It is an opportunity for you to conduct legal research in an area that interests you. I want you to think about your interest in sport, think about your future career aspirations and your goals, and I want you to find a case that you just find fascinating and that is relevant to what you hope to accomplish in the future, something that you can learn from and hopefully apply in the future to limit legal liability. So your goal and your objective for this week is to find a case that interests you and is a case that you feel comfortable with briefing. Because just to give you a basic idea in terms of the legal application paper, you'll provide some background information about the sport context. So essentially, who is this case relevant to? You'll brief the case. You'll talk about the legal principles in a bit more detail. You'll look into precedent, and I'll explain that next week. And then you'll also talk about implications and preventive strategies, very similar to what you did for the case brief. But it is an extended version of a case brief. There are more components. It is longer. I believe my expectations are about 7 to 10 pages. So I do want you to find a case that interests you, but also one that you feel comfortable with analyzing. So when you're selecting a case, I do want to encourage you to find one that is focused, probably one that has maybe no more than 3 or 4 legal complaints, because every once in a while you'll find a case that has 10 legal complaints, and that would be a bit overwhelming in terms of when you are writing the legal theory and trying to explain all of the components in a case brief. So think about not only what interests you, but what is realistic in terms of what you feel comfortable with. So this week, selecting a legal case. Now I have provided a few resources for you in order to select a case. If you're like, I don't even know where to start, well, let me help you. If you go back to, let's pull up, okay, if you go back to the Blackboard page. I do want to point out that you'll see a legal application paper student example. If you are confused about what my expectations are for this assignment, this is a great example for you to refer to. A student completed this paper last year, did a great job, and it will probably clarify some of your questions. But I want you to go to summary of recent sports cases. what I did was provide you with these 5 articles which provide summaries of sports cases that have happened over the previous year. So I provided a summary from 2011 to 2015. These are great articles because I'll pull one up for you. Pulled up 2015. It's a survey of all of the recent developments in sports law. It highlights cases that made an impact, that changed regulations, that might have changed the law, that made advancements in sports law. So really interesting cases. Now these cases are broken down by types of law. So you'll have administrative law, you'll have contract law, antitrust law. So you can scroll through these articles based upon the type of law, or if you want to, you can do just a keyword search. I do that sometimes. Like if I was interested in, I don't know, baseball, we'll try that one. Look at here, we have a National Hockey League. Okay, hockey and baseball programming, let's try a different one. National Hockey League again, okay. Moving on, the NCAA, that would be relevant to baseball. It's the same one. Same one. Keyword searches are sometimes effective, not always effective. Here's one with the NFL. So you can do a keyword search to try and pop around these documents because as you'll notice, it's about 44 pages, so you might not want to read it all in detail. However, I want you to notice that for each of these cases, it's a paragraph summary. So what you can do is peruse through these documents if you have no idea of where to start. And maybe find a case, you know what, read the synopsis, and if it's of interest to you, go ahead and locate that case and determine if you would like to use that for your legal application paper. So how do you locate the case? What you want to do is go to the parties' names and you'll see this superscript number, so 6, for example. And if you go to the bottom of that page, all of the superscript numbers will be associated with their case information. Now, right here is the information that we need. WL stands for Westlaw Next. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Now, if you go to the university's library web page and scroll down, you'll see all of these research quick links. I want you to go to the databases research quick link. And we'll let all the information pop up. And if you do databases by subject and select law, it will highlight databases that focus their searches on legal topics. Now, really, you only need to focus on the most frequently used. The 2 most prevalent databases used in law are LexisNexis and Westlaw Next. So I really want you to only focus on those 2. You can use either databases and find legal cases that way. Westlaw Next is my favorite, so I'd encourage you to use that one. It's a bit more user-friendly. So if you click on Westlaw Next, we'll sign you in. And then under all of these options, I could go ahead and type the case into here. However, for a more focused search, I like to select cases, so it will limit the search to only cases. Now from here, I can go ahead and type in, all right, I was interested in looking into that NFL case. So I'll type in the case citation, and it should pop up. Here it is. So here's the case, and now I could read it in more detail and see, is this something that I'm interested in using for my legal application paper? If it is something that you're interested in using, what I want you to submit is the entire case. So the entire case. Now what you can do to get a copy of this case is, if you email the case to yourself, that case will be sent to your email in either a Word format or a PDF format. So then I want you to take that Word document or that PDF document and submit it. That is what I'm looking for, because essentially I would like to read through your cases and make sure that they pertain to legal issues that you can fully discuss. Sometimes these legal cases are caught up in jurisdiction, or they're caught up in motions that do not have very much legal discourse. So I will be looking at the legal issues and the meat of the case and making sure that they are discussing legal topics that we've discussed and covered in class, and they're not caught up in just nitpicky legal issues that have no real significance to the sport industry. And then I can provide you with feedback to make sure that this is a good case or you should maybe consider something else. So those are my expectations for this week. And so let me go back to the Blackboard page to make sure I covered everything. Yes. Also, if you do not want to use the Marquette articles that I provided, so I have provided cases within the past 5 years, what you can do is you can do keyword searches within Westlaw Next or LexisNexis. Type in a few keywords if it is baseball or football, if it is ticketing, if it's operations, if it is you're interested in waivers, if you're interested in negligence, any of those keywords. And what would happen if I typed in negligence? That one's a pretty broad one. It will pull up it will pull up cases related to negligence. And what I like is it provides you with a little bit of description here so you don't have to open up and read through the full case. This is a pretty broad search. And so let's see, it came up with 10,000 cases. So I'd probably do like negligence and sports to try and narrow it down. But yeah, this is what would pop up, and you can click on the link to read more about it if you would like. So go ahead and find your case, submit your case right here. If you have any issues with finding a case, if you want any help, please let me know. I can kind of walk you through the process or pick your brain to help you determine a topic to search for. But I will upload a video about the rubric in terms of the paper in next week's module. Happy hunting. Talk to you later.